Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game. Ren here, and today I'm just going to take some time to gush about Scarlet Nexus and its combat system. We're going to do a top-down discussion on all things, everything from gear, stats, builds, party members, to just combat in general. So I very much look forward to going on about this game with you. Before we do that, though, I do want to give a spoiler warning. We are going to be discussing in-game combat builds, party members. There are going to be party spoilers here. And some of the places where we're going to be fighting to get that good challenge are going to be in-game areas. So you are warned. But again, nothing story spoiler-wise other than just party members. Okay, to begin, I think the best place to start for this is to talk about the party members here. So as you can see, I did do my Yuito story route, and I have Gemma and Hanabi out here with me. So who is in your direct party is definitely a big deal, as the people that you have with you will have enhanced abilities. Gemma and Hanabi are phenomenal party members. I very much appreciate all their things, but I think for the best route, you're definitely going to want to be rocking Yuito, and we're actually going to be getting out Kyoka. Kyoka, to me, is without question the best party member in the entire game. And the reason for that is going to be duplication. Now, for a normal story playthrough, I don't mess with tactics at all. I keep everybody at battle at will. I literally never had a single issue through it. However, in the higher difficulties, tactics is going to be something that you are going to be doing on a fight-by-fight basis. And essentially that means, do you want them to prioritize healing or any type of certain actions? But for this guide is just a normal playthrough heading into New Game Plus. And so battle at will, I think you're going to be good with in about 9 out of 10 situations. Aside from that, Kyoka is a solid pick. Now, Gemma, I love him. He has an incredible SAS ability. He has the ability to negate all damage while his ability is active. I think he's a solid party member, but I like to rock Kasane. Now, again, this is an endgame build. For Yuito's route through the main story, I definitely like to rock having Yuito out and Hanabi. The reason is because Hanabi's pyrokinesis is a phenomenal heavy damage build, and you can really punish with it, and with having her out, you're definitely going to have a much better potency with that. And then also, along with her, I actually rocked Gemma out as well. So definitely do that. Also, Luca hit... Okay, let's just go kind of party member to party member. So we obviously talked about Hanabi and her fire abilities. Now, Tsugumi is a very niche party member that when she is useful, she is absolutely mandatory. And that's because of clairvoyance. You know, especially about midway through the game, all the way through the end, you're going to be coming across enemies that are hidden visually. Clairvoyance allows you to see them. If you have kind of the alligator-looking enemies that go beneath the earth, clairvoyance is really going to help you in being able to deal with those. Luca Travers, to me, for endgame, made my life insanely easier. I think Luca Travers, because with teleportation, it increases your dodge window and your dodge potency through the roof. I was having a really hard time getting the dodge window down in this game. So essentially, you know, you see an ability coming, and you can dash. Well, when you have Luca's ability of teleportation active, you are able to teleport, and it gives you this really nice window, and you're able to close the distance between enemies perfectly. Luca Travers has an incredible ability. Now, if you are playing through Kasane's route, a very similar and equally effective party member is going to be Arashi with hypervelocity. Hypervelocity is essentially my second go-to for when I have to close distances or dodge something really nasty, because hypervelocity slows down time for everybody. So you're able to essentially get in close to enemies and be able to punish effectively. Fantastic ability, and we'll be getting into that more here in a second. Now, heading on down the party member list, we talked about them. Shiden, I do hate this character. However, That's only on a personality level. Shiden is essentially serves a similar role for Kasane's party as Hanabi does. He provides an electricity damage modifier to your weapons. So essentially, when you have Shiden's ability active, you are doing electricity damage, and if you do enough damage to the enemy, you'll be able to cause them to be electrocuted, which is essentially going to be a status effect on the enemy. It's fantastic. And then also later in the game, there are some arena items that you can interact with electricity that will essentially negate all damage. It'll stun everybody. It does a ton of damage. Shiden, even though he's an unlikable human being for me, he's a fantastic party member, and very much, I would probably sub him in for Kasane's route before you get access to everybody. Now, the reason Kyoka is the best party member, we'll be seeing in the actual combat showcase later in the video. She triples, well, in the beginning, she's going to double all of your moves. But as you see here, I now have 2 copies of Yuito, which means all of my attacks are now hitting 3 times. And that includes with your thrown abilities, and it's fantastic. Absolutely, without question, Kyoka is the best party member in the game. I would say she is essentially mandatory for making your life infinitely easier in the late game. So definitely do not be ignoring your relationship with Kyoka, and she's awesome. Kaguru, okay. My thoughts on Kaguru, and just hear me out. As you can see, I actually don't have his SAS ability active, which is probably a mistake. I could probably switch it out for Gemma if I'm not worried about damage, or Clairvoyance if I'm not worried about that. However, I will say this about Kaguru. Kaguru hits like a freight train. So the way I use Kaguru is obviously, you know, you can use his invincibility to get a much needed respite in a hard fight, kind of reset yourself, go back. However, what's really nice about Kaguru is you can go up to enemies and charge up a triangle or a mega attack that will decimate. But my favorite way to use Kaguru, because I don't typically like to open fights in stealth, probably just because I'm not used to it. Maybe once I do Kasane's route, I'll be a little bit more used to jumping into that play style. I love to use Kaguru for his mega punish with the L1 modifier. What I mean by that is, as you can see here, when you hold L1, you have the ability to consume 60% of a party member's SAS gauge to do a massive hit. So what I do with Kaguru is his hits, I haven't recorded damage numbers, but just visually, he punishes the hardest. Kaguru hits like a freight train. So what I like to do is I play mostly with, as you can see here, I have my main go-to setup being, I use Luca for mobility and dodge help. I use Psychokinesis with Kasane because she enhances... actually, can we read SAS abilities here? So, with Kasane, while her SAS is active, Psychokinesis attacks won't consume any of the Psychokinesis gauge, and you'll be able to control all surrounding objects and use Psychokinesis field attacks with all of them by holding L2 and R2. The L2, R2 ability is hits unbelievably hard. But then on top of that, we just get this window where we're not consuming any of our Psychokinesis gauge. We're tripling all of our attacks with Kyoka. Now, as you can see here, I am discussing these abilities with everybody at a level 6 in my main party member. I'm pretty sure. Everybody but Luca. So that is definitely something, because once we get his to a level 6, we're able to hold triangle, charge it, and just hit even harder. So that's something definitely to look forward to. But having everyone to at least level 5, I think, is such a just such a godsend, because it increases how long you can have access to their abilities. And there's going to be kind of an ebb and flow to their SAS gauge. that we'll get to here in a little bit. But I like to keep out Hanabi because mostly just because I really like her. I think she's an awesome character, but she's also hits very hard. And I like to prolong her SAS effect and burn effect. And then also when we're doing our square ability, at the end of the combo, as long as we keep doing it, we can kind of spam square here and just do a flamethrower effect with a final blast at the end. Super powerful. She punishes so hard. And if you're in an area where you can put on, where you can hold your L2 down and pick up an oil can and throw it on an enemy, I mean, Hanabi just crushes. But if I'm in an area where there's water cans everywhere, the water cans will interact with, obviously, Shiden to where we can more easily apply the shock effect on enemies. It's fantastic. So as you can see there in the downward right, if I double tap R1, I switch between the 4 party members, which is really good. Now, as much as I do love Kagru and how hard he hits, I like the utility of being able to equip Gemma, because sometimes, you know, whether I'm just playing bad or whatnot, I like to have the ability to where if things are getting pretty dicey, I switch over, I throw on Gemma, and I have this invulnerable shield to where I'm taking no damage when I get hit. So if things get dicey, I like to have that safety net with Gemma. Now, on top of that, what we see here, is there anything I want to say about these guys? No, I pretty much dip into this, effectively where I punish really hard with the Kyoka, Hanabi, Kasane, and Luca setup, and then I'll go over and punish with the rest of the group by essentially rifling through their stuff, and it's pretty gross. But effectively, what's nice is I play really liberally with all of my SAS gauges, so I drain everything, and then what we're going to see is that when we brain crush people, we refill our party members' gauge, which is probably a good time to dip into talking about the brain map. So this is your talent tree for the game. Now, this is obviously a build. I think I'm level 61 at the time of recording this video. And so we pretty much have dipped into everything heavily that I want. But I want to give you some quality of life talents that I think are very good to pick up early and to focus on heavily. Now, there are some areas in the game to where there will be hidden areas. Now, there isn't any here, but let's go ahead and switch over to, let me see here. Let's go over to the construction site, because I know there is some hidden areas here that are pretty easy to get to. But pretty much the reason I think this is so great is in the brain map, if we look here, let me find it real quick. Okay, if we look here, we can unlock double jump. Double jump is not mandatory for beating the game or being super good or anything like that. However, it does give us access to some very clutch abilities further down the tree, but it also allows us to reach hidden areas in the game. On top of that, I highly recommend picking up anything that gives follow-up attack expand. So essentially, after you throw an ability, you're able to zoom in, close the distance, and do a follow-up attack. Well, further on down the tree, you can bump that up to where you are doing even more 4 consecutive psychokinesis follow-up attacks after doing that. This essentially means that when you're doing a psychokinesis attack, you're heavily attacking not only their health, but mostly their crush gauge, and you can break them, fall over, and then you can do your brain crush ability, which is a one-hit kill. It refills your resources. It's the way you should be playing the game. So I highly recommend picking up the follow attack expands. I'm probably later on in my playthrough in New Game Plus, I'm going to be picking up follow-up attacks for aerial attacks, but again, not something that I found to be absolutely sorely missed in my playthrough. On top of that, I highly recommend that as soon as you can, very much optimize concurrent SAS activation. So in the beginning of the game, you're only able to choose whether you have, let's say, Kyoka's ability on, or you can have Hanabi's gift on. Well, as you spec into the concurrent SAS, you're able to have, with 1 talent point into it, well, I mean, with 1 of these learned, you can have 2 at a time. Well, once you get the second talent point, you can have up to 4 active at a time. So it can be a little overkill, but what I do when I go into a fight is I'll throw on Kyoka, Kasane, Hanabi, and Luca, and now I have access to everybody. We're hitting with everything, and it's fantastic. And honestly, when I have those on, I pretty much feel invincible. So I definitely think those are very much required to essentially get to a point where you're breaking the game. On top of that, it's not going to happen very often, but there are 2 or 3 bosses in this game that are, I would say, pretty difficult. So I highly recommend you at least spec once into, let me see here, Brain Field Reduced Damage. Now I do have 2 points into this. Let me get the first one here. Where is that? Yes, Brain Field Reduced Damage Part 1. This means that when you're in your Super Saiyan form, where you're heading into the Neon world, where just brainwaves are everything, you take half damage. Well, when you get the second point into that, you take 0 damage. Now, I do want to state that this does not prevent you from having status effects on you. However, there's only a few times where that's really going to be an issue. But you do want to be mindful of status effects in the brain field. Now, I believe there are ways around status effects in the game, but in a normal playthrough, status effects aren't as lethal to your progress as you might think. However, I will keep this as spoiler-free as possible. It would not be a bad idea for you to pick up, if you're going to pick up any type of negating of status effects. The one that caused me the most grief in my playthrough was electricity damage. There is an electricity boss in this game that is unimaginably annoying. So if you're playing through on normal or hard, I would say electric proof barrier is probably going to become an absolute necessity for those fights. I was able to get through it, kind of pushing my way uphill on a normal playthrough, but on hard, I'm assuming that you have to really heavily get into shock resistant barriers in that playthrough. Now, I do want to quickly touch what I use for party gear. Obviously, I've mentioned it before, but let me see. Yeah, let's go talk to the shopkeeper real quick. I'm going to cut to that. Okay, let's go ahead and just kind of do a little bit of a showcase what we're going to do here. So what I like to open with is put on everybody's stuff, zoom in with a psychokinesis attack, double charge up a triangle, 2 charge, and yeah, things die really quick. Okay, now that are we in brain trap? No. But we just had a random proc there. Okay. So, we're hitting everybody with triple psychokinesis attacks. We're melting, absolutely melting their break gauge. Just with the psychokinesis attack, heading into a upcharge swing. Just a few hits, fully breaks them. These are enemies that I typically had to just kill outright before. But since we are breaking them, we are able to refill our gauge. Let's go ahead and just burn through our different gauges. Alright. We'll go ahead and throw on Gemma's SAS ability, just because we are taking some damage here. Go ahead and charge up. Broke him. We're going to get some extra damage in there to get some XP modifiers. That is a brain talent. And then let's go ahead and just empty out some excess party member gauges. We'll throw back on our punish squad. Okay, we'll do an assault vision. Broke him easy. We're going to go ahead and cap off everybody's psychokinesis gauge. And yeah, that's all she wrote. Now, a couple of things there that I do want to point out the reason that's happening is nothing is more frustrating in this game than when you're committing to punishing, but you get hit and knocked down. The reason I'm able to kind of eat through that damage is because of body enhance attack, and this is a plug-in on the equipments. I think this is probably the best thing in the game for Yuito, if you play the way I do. This plugin increases stability of attack movements. Actions will no longer be interrupted when taking damage during an attack, which means if I am stopped moving, it means I am probably attacking, and when I'm attacking, I don't want to be getting hit and then knocked down and stunned. Honestly, getting knocked down and stunned in this game is brutal. So definitely do yourself a favor, and as soon as you can you can make or buy the body enhance attack plugin, do so. I think it's pretty much speaks for itself. I definitely choose Force Field Mach 7 and Power Enhance Mach 7. Any version of this, the highest one you want. Force Field is going to be more bang for your buck than just a flat health upgrade, because this is more effective health, which means we have a barrier on ourselves, which is going to do more work for you than just having a flat stat boost for your upgrade, for your health. Now, for everyone else, I kept it pretty simple for my normal playthrough. If I was going to be doing any type of optimizing for higher levels of play, I would definitely swap this out for maybe some enhanced burn on the main protagonist, or this is where I would put electric modifiers and such like that. Let me just double check if electric barriers. Yeah, this is good for the user. So if I was going to be fighting, let's say that boss that does a lot of electric damage, I would definitely put this on them, because certain bosses can melt your party members with that AoE attack. Now, on top of that, let me just kind of look through here. The ebb and flow also, I would definitely want to give yourself, let's see here, at least one charge of max psionic gauge boost. This is going to increase your ability to throw items and such down there in the bottom middle, as you can see. I only got the final upgrade literally, I think, in the final dungeon of the game. It was one of the last points I got. However, having at least one of these mixed with this burn squad I have, you're going to be constantly brain crushing and refilling your own stat meter. It is beautiful. But I would definitely give yourself a little bit more wiggle room than your base psionic gauge. I think that is a lot of bang for your buck. Follow-up attacks are always going to be really nice. For some quality of life stuff, I would say in the earliest of levels, as much as it's nice to have double jump, it's not necessarily needed. I would immediately start probably in your brain field time extension. Oh, sorry, I am so sorry here. Additional plugin slot equipped. I would definitely go this route first, because you want to get concurrent SAS activation 2 at least right off the bat. So if I was you, I would highly recommend, if I had it to do over again, I would do this route first, pick up this, and then I would go ahead and probably look elsewhere. I wouldn't worry too much about getting 4 immediately, but it is definitely something you want to look into as soon as possible. I think the first route I did, as I went into Enhance, and I came up here and I got, for my first upgrade, is I went for, oh, where's it at? I just showed it. There we go. For my first route, I went directly to this psionic gauge boost first. It wasn't bad. However, I would definitely recommend getting more equipment slots, because these plug-in slots, I mean, they're a world of difference. They increase the power of your psionic abilities. They protect you. They make your life a whole lot less trolly. For your party members, though, an optional part of the game is going to seem like your bond levels with your party members. Do not ignore your party members' bonds. This system is so beautiful. Yes, it's a little bit of the Persona system of increasing your relationship with somebody to get in-combat bonuses. These combat bonuses are incredible. Not only will you get further upgrades to their power levels, but they'll also be able to hold them longer. Assault Visions offer such a great ebb and flow to combat. So the exchange tab is absolutely a necessity. But here you're able to create all these different gifts to give to your party members and increase your bonds with them. It's fantastic. Not only that, it's going to give some unique customized visuals for your hangout. Yeah, you're able to make visuals. None of these are necessary, but you can make these and convert them into and go sell them for money. So, which is great because you're also able to buy like your combat needs, like your healing items, your SAS refueling things. However, if I were you, when you're going through the game, always make sure that when you get to a new chapter, before you make or create or try to sell anything else, upgrade your weapons. You're always going to be able to craft the best weapon before you can buy it. So in the next chapter, you'll be able to buy the best weapon from the previous chapter. However, if you're kind of being mindful of what you need, you'll be able to equip all of your party members. I never had a single issue until the very end of the game when I shot myself in the foot and had to do some farming of being able to give all of your party members that are with you the most current weapon. And aside from that, I think that pretty much covers the ins and outs of what I wanted to discuss. So with that, we're going to head to a later part of the game and check out some combat. So let's cut to that. Okay, I'm heading to a zone that's about, I'm going to say, 3/4 of the way through the game. So we might be melting through some of these enemies. But like I said, what I like to do when I'm starting out any fight is I like to immediately activate my go-to squad, which is my first set of SAS party members. So I see that they have engaged. I'm going to go ahead, and this is probably the only annoying part is start the openings parts. But I like to hold a charged triangle, get my first break. That's going to refill part of my gauge. We're heading straight into it. Just a single hit, we're already mowing them down. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, well, this is... Okay, so now we have an enemy that is going to move fast. We already knocked him down. However, if you're coming across anybody that is kind of warping or speeding, that's where Asashi and Luca are going to get the most value. So we are going to just crush. Flying enemies, I like to open up with that rising aerial strike. It just makes short work of them. Okay. We don't need to farm any items, so we're going to continue on and keep looking for the fights. Keep looking for the fights. I'm going to have to find myself at least one epic fight.
I need your help.
Boss fight. Yeah, we got little small fries around here. I'm going to stop us from opening up. And this is essentially my tried and true way of dealing with most anything. Now, if I have like a mini boss that is just absolutely giving me... Oh, we can assault vision. Gosh. I wish that person was at full health so you could see how hard Conqueror hits with this assault vision. It's insane how hard Conqueror hits. Alright. And then after each fight, I just kind of close everything out. If I don't want to go through the trouble of opening up everything, you know, in this one I have to because we do have some speed users that are absolutely agonizing to deal with if I don't have my go-to squad ready. Caught him. Do triangle downward strike, which is all upgrades you get from the brain map. Fantastic system that interplays all aspects of the game. The combat in Scarlet Nexus is top friggin' notch.
Thanks, Kyoka. Thanks, Hanabi.
Okay, here we got some nasty ones here. Let's just make short work of this guy. We'll ignore the others for right now. Get the assault vision off. Broke him in a single round. I mean, you just cannot top the punishment combo of Kyoka with Hanabi or Shiden's damage effects. Oh, it's addictive. This combat system is addictive. Let's check out Arashi. So, like, these platforms are really obnoxious, but you throw on her power, and you can run straight past them. Ooh. Until you need to warp past the gate.
Now I can take it easy.
With Luca. Okay, so now here we have a rather interesting group of monsters, but we're going to make short work of them. We're going to jump. We'll jump, dash. Already took care of it. So with these guys, as you know, these are super annoying. They always want to huddle up so you can't do any damage to them. However, if you use Luca or Arashi, you're able to get in before they can do it. And then with the Look at that. Our combat XP modifier is already at 1.5, which is also a brain map ability. So you're able to do this and just farm levels and XP, just god tier levels. Just respect where respect is due. I mean, the combat design team of Scarlet Nexus is just on point. Here we go. Let's get some challenge going on. Like I said, probably the most odd thing at times is with the way I play, I like to activate everybody right off the bat. Obviously, if you have a gauntlet fight, you can use your SAS recharging abilities to refuel. Again, money at a certain point in the game just stops being a pain to get. So we're going to go ahead and open up pretty hard here. We'll go ahead and use some of our L1 abilities with the group just to punish real hard. I just want to break him real quick, so we're going to go ahead, get off Segumi's triangle ability, assault vision, I mean, crushing, and then you see this ebb and flow where we're going in really hard with the SAS abilities, but we're crushing so often that we're replenishing all of the resources that we're losing. Oh, here we go. All right, so let's go ahead and show off what it's like to put on some L2 abilities with these guys. So we went ahead, and I meant to grab the oil, but we accidentally grabbed that. So let's go ahead. Oh, we're gonna break him so easy. Let's get off a charged strike before we crush and refill all that juicy SAS meter. God, I love it.
Try using clairvoyance.
Come on. Now die!
Here we go. It's Yogi. Use SAS to see the other.
Oh, nice! Leave it to me! Come on! Burn it! Some help, Luca!
Here we go.
I can hit it! It's over!
Finish it. Some power?
Leave it to me! Come on! Go, Huey Toe! Leave it to me! Thanks. It's good to have you on the team. That attack worked! That must be a weak spot. Now die! It's over!
Here we go.
We split apart. We should figure out the real one and attack it.
Here. I can still fight.
I can do this! Keep it up! Thanks, Arashi! All help!
Nice setup.
That attack worked. That must be a weak spot.
Yeah! Come on!
Nice job.
Do you need help? Next!
Watch the enemy.
I'm with you.
I can hit it!
Take it out.
Let's go! War! Not yet!
I'm watching out for you.
Thanks, Tsunabi! Some help, Luca! Let's do it together!
That attack worked. That must be a weak spot. Nice. Burn it.
Everything!
And here we go.
Keep it up!
Whoa, nice.
I You need help.
Don't get burned!
I need your help. Here we go.
Finish this, Yumiko!
Now die. Come on. My turn.
It's down! Give it
I can hit it.
everything you've got! Hey! This attack worked! There must be a weak spot.
Yeah. Come on.
That was brilliant!
Do you need help? Thanks, Kasane. Now die. I can hit it. It's over.
That was brilliant!
Take this! Yuito!
Let's do it together. Do you need help? Here we go. Now die. Yeah. Come on. Here we go. I can hit it. It's over.
Yumiko! Finish it!
Leave it to me. There.
I hit the outer shell. I think I can break it if I focus my attacks.
Hey. I can hit it. It's over.
Now, Yumiko!
Let's go. Now die. Come on.
That attack worked! There must be a weak spot. It's down!
Here we go.
Give it everything you've got!
Yeah.
That was a good attack.
It's not a good morning. Breakdown.
Here we go. Time to use this. Nice setup.
Take it out! That was a nice move.
Thanks, Kyoka.
Don't get burned!
Thanks, Kasane. Go, Yumito.
Now, Yumiko!
Leave it to me.
Go!
There.
That attack worked! There must be a weak spot.
Now die. It's over.
That was good. Not quite as good as me, though.
Now!
Finish this, Yumiko!
Leave it to me. Come on.
Whoa! Nice!
Yeah.
Now, Yumiko!
I can hit it. There.
That was brilliant!
Here we go. Yeah. It's over.
Finish this, Yumiko! It's down! Give it everything you've got! That attack worked!
Leave it to me.
There must be a weak spot.
I can hit it. Come on.
Yumiko!
Come on.
Well, guys, there you have it. There's kind of the rough, very much as encapsulated as I feel comfortable doing for the Scarlet Nexus in-game build. There's an ebb and flow to this combat that is truly astounding. It's absolutely one of my favorite RPGs this year. I really hope this doesn't go the way of Astral Chain and that people start discovering it long after the fact, as this is a gorgeous and beautiful combat system. I cannot sing its praises enough. The interplay between your outfitting, your equipments, the bond levels with your team members, how you want to comprise your active party members, who you want to equip on your SAS hot button list. It's so good. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more deep dive gushing guides on the RPGs we all love. And until then, I'll see you all next time.